evening from Swansea, wrestling fans. I'm your host, Ben Allison, and you are listening to Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast, your one-stop shop for pro wrestling insight, news, and reviews on a daily basis. Today, we have a stacked day of action in the wrestling world as we have Ring of Honor's Death Before Dishonor pay-per-view, along with the weekly scheduled SmackDown and a stacked episode of Rampage as well. So we have a lot to talk about here today, specifically the Ring of Honor pay-per-view and SmackDown on this show. But to, have so many great topics, we need a great panel. So firstly, the co-host of the podcast, Clark Taylor.
What's going on? I'm happy to be back. It's happy Friday, everyone. June 21st or July 21st. What in the world? How is it July, guys? This is ridiculous. Mania was like 2 days ago, right? No.
Oh, yeah.
It's not. We got ROH tonight. I'm stoked to get into it. I'm happy to be here once again. Let's talk about it.
Absolutely. We've got a lot to talk about, and it's going to be a fun show. And also, somebody who's going to have a very busy time in the next couple of days. We have the head of reviews, Coby Galenzoski.
Yeah, I mean, I'm back. It's a Friday night. Not a Friday night. It's Friday afternoon here. It's a Friday night in the UK. I'm here. We got Ring of Honor, a show that not a lot of people can say they're excited for because there's not a lot of build, and the full card was announced yesterday. But at the end of the day, it should be a fun show regardless, because that's one of the best things AEW can do, is that they do put on entertaining shows and solid in-ring action from top to bottom. We're going to preview a number of the matches, not all of them, but probably the main, I want to say the main four at the end of the day. We're here. Let's talk about it.
Absolutely. And you do bring up a good point about the lack of build for the show. They barely build any of the matches on Ring of Honor TV at all. But the card itself, well, to be honest with you, I'm actually quite excited for quite a lot of it. I think there's a lot of good stuff on there, and we're going to get into it all. But last, but certainly not least, we have Shad. How are you today, Shad?
What's going on, Ben? What's going on, Clark, Coby? I'm here again, back-to-back days. Today, we're going to talk about ROH, which is obviously a branch of what the AEW roster has, owned by TK. So I'm excited to talk about that. Got some matches that I'm excited to talk to, and it's SmackDown Friday. A lot of wrestling, man, but it's going to be great. Before I go watch wrestling, I'm watching the Barbie movie, so check in with y'all on that too.
I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world, right?
I'm next to Ken, so
got him.
I'm on Sunday. It's my brother's birthday, and me and my brother and my dad are going to watch Oppenheimer, and then my mum and my girlfriend are going to watch Barbie at the exact same time. It's hilarious that it's just divided everybody these two films. But let's get into wrestling. And let's firstly talk the ROH Pure Championship, because that is on the line tonight at Death Before Dishonor, as Shibata, one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, will be taking on Daniel Garcia. And truthfully, I think this is the match on the card which I'm the most excited for. And that's very simply because I'm a big fan of obviously both of these guys, but also the Pure rules. I know it's something which a lot of people aren't really too keen on, but for me, it's perfect. I love, the old world of sport, British rules style wrestling. And yes, the Pure Championship is very different to that, but it shares some similarities between them, right? Clark, what do you think heading into this match, and who do you see walking out as the winner?
I absolutely love the Pure Championship concept. It's one of my favorite things in wrestling. I think it's awesome, and I cannot wait for this match. I do think it's time to put the belt back on Daniel Garcia. He's going to defend it more regularly than Shibata. And given how he's shown, he's got more charisma than we ever thought he did.
Oh, yeah.
He truly has shown that in the last 6 months. Not to toot my own horn, but I did kind of call that. I'm just saying. And then from there, he's also still that dang good in the ring. You can put him in there with virtually anyone on any roster, and he can make something out of it bell to bell. Even in short matches, in short spurts, he always shows something, and he's always clean. Moveset wise, he's safe, he's clean, and he's just good.
Mm.
And that's no knock on Shibata. I think this has been an awesome run. We were there, obviously, when he won the title, right? That was in LA, correct?
Yes, that we were there. Yes,
We were there. Yes, I'm just saying. And I remember because I was there. Shibata won, and that was a huge moment. But I don't know if week to week Shibata is in a position to carry that championship the way that Garcia can. I think it's kind of time to do that. And given that the Jericho Appreciation Society seems to be going their separate ways anyway, the Pure Championship gives a nice singles direction for Garcia coming out of that storyline as well. So I think tonight we go with Garcia, but in a close one. Razor thin match, a classic, right? Not a dominant performance.
Yeah. No, I can very easily see that happening. And you, of course, touched upon the Jericho Appreciation Society storyline. And yes, AEW and Ring of Honor are different. They're two separate companies. And that gets brought up in basically every press conference Tony Khan does. But there's a lot of like overlap with the stories, right? And yes, I would have no issue with Garcia winning. I also selfishly wouldn't have an issue with Shibata retaining. But let's be real here. Garcia can have more matches than Shibata can have. Even though Shibata is now living in the States, you know, his body, he can't work that often. He really can't. And despite the fact I love to see him, obviously, every performance of his I love to see, it scares me each and every single time. So, yes, I would not mind Garcia getting the win tonight. But now let's move on to the women's division in Ring of Honor, and let's talk about Athena and Willow. And David Sheldon, our AEW reviewer, and of course he's regularly on this daily broadcast podcast, he said that this week that basically it's AEW's realistically their only women's feud right now is Athena and Willow, and that's now moved over to Ring of Honor. And this match tonight I'm very, very excited for. I mean, Willow lately, she's had so much momentum. And, she won the New Japan Women's Strong Championship. Yes, she lost that to Julia afterwards, but she also won the Owen Hart Cup too. So she's got, she's got a lot of momentum behind her. And I do think that she's going to be the one to defeat Athena tonight. But Coby, what do you think about this one?
I mean, this is where I get to say a lot of stuff that I agree with David. And it's like this is the main rivalry that it started on AEW television. We had the match getting canceled on Collision. We had the match getting put on Rampage. This is the thing, is I understand this match in itself is a Ring of Honor feud. But if you're AEW, and especially with Blood and Guts being a significant viewership peak or upgrade, why aren't you thinking about building this match further, doing something to expose it to the biggest audience you have? I said this in our Wrestling Republic group chats. If I was Tony Khan, I would have said I wouldn't have even needed that Britt Baker squash match, because at the end of the day, that match is going to be forgotten about in weeks. If you do something that helps build Athena versus Willow, or gets the viewer to see this match in a different light, maybe you get those extra buys. That's what you can hope for. At the end of the day, like, it's been built with Collision and Rampage and nothing else. I mean, this is where I also have to agree with Anthony surrounding the Owen finals that he said on the weekend. And I mean, this goes across the board. If you have the opportunity to make any championship rivalry, any feud in general, more personal, you should be doing it. And I believe Athena costing Willow would have been an injection, would have added more to this feud. I gotta disagree with Ben though. I think Athena's getting the victory because you gotta pull that rug over underneath Willow at the end of the day.
No, I mean, I could very easily see that happening there as well, Coby. And yeah, this match I'm actually very excited for as well. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. But now let's move on to the Ring of Honor TV Championship, which Samoa Joe has now held for quite a while. I actually didn't even realize how long he'd been, champion for, because I'm going to be completely honest here. It's not like there's not been too many defenses of it. But tonight he will be defending the title, and it will be against Dalton Castle. And he is somebody who, you want to talk about a stop-start career, that's him. His entire career feels like a stop-start push. It really does. Every time he has some momentum, it then goes. And he's just never really gotten the push, which I felt he's deserved, to be honest with you. He did become Ring of Honor World Champion a few years ago. However, that title reign, didn't really end up going anywhere. And to be honest, part of that, I think, was actually the launch of AEW. That took a lot of momentum away from Ring of Honor during that time. But tonight, Dalton Castle will get an opportunity to become champion once again. The Ring of Honor TV Championship this time. But I don't think he'll do it. I believe Samoa Joe will get the victory. But Shad, what about you?
I think that it is a match that Samoa Joe will retain as well. Going into that kind of contenders tournament they had leading into it, and especially the match being yesterday with Dalton versus Shane Taylor, I kind of looked at it. I was like, yeah, this is a match where I think they'll probably have Dalton Castle win, being more that Samoa Joe is leaning towards a heel side. And initially I was like, you know what? Samoa Joe might just literally murder this guy. But then I looked at the match yesterday and I saw what he was doing with a person of Shane Taylor's stature and build, and it kind of being more of a, bigger, heavy set guy and being able to do, his main move on him. I'm thinking him and Samoa Joe might have a pretty solid match. I think that those two can really put on a good showing. I think it's, agreeing to your point, I feel Dalton Castle's been there for a little while. I feel like he has, a unique character arc and, very entertaining, very, funny, got the flamboyant personality with the boys and the peacock and stuff like that. But, I mean, you match that against a person like Samoa Joe and you just see what ROH is trying to do on a landscape to get more viewers. Having Joe be on television and having that title just does a little bit more compared to what Dalton Castle can do for him. So I think it is a match where I think it'll be a pretty good bout, but ultimately we're going to have Joe winning, retaining his title. And yeah, I mean, we'll see how long he can keep going on as champ. I mean, I wouldn't be I wouldn't be as, upset or being like what's going on towards it if they had a little bit more direction to the show. But I mean, it's a title. It may be a paper title to some people, but it's still a title. But hey, we'll see.
Yeah, no, I do agree with you there, Shard. And yeah, I mean, I honestly, Samoa Joe, being a champion for Ring of Honor, especially when, he was NXT champion only it only feels like a year ago. I know it's longer than that. I know it's much longer than that now. It was like 3 years ago. But when he made his return to NXT. But the fact that he's now, a television champion in Ring of Honor, it should feel like a bigger deal than it kind of has done. But who knows? Maybe momentum will start to go back on his side tonight. But now let's talk about the main event. Well, what I presume will be the main event of Death Before Dishonor. And that is for, of course, the Ring of Honor World Championship, where Claudio Castagnoli will be taking on Pac. And this match was only made official yesterday, the day before the pay-per-view. And this, of course, all came about because Pac walked out at Blood and Guts. He left them stranded because he just had enough of working with the BCC. Claudio, understandably, not very happy about this. And now he wants to beat Pac and, defend his championship in the process. Now, I'm going to be honest to you, it's a very face move by Claudio. It really is. So I'm not sure if now the BCC are going back in the face direction. But yes, of course, Pac, he is more of a heel. There's no doubt about that. So my question to you actually kind of is, will the fans really know who to root for when there's two, heels in the ring? But Claudio gave Pac the title shot, so I'm guessing they'll back Claudio. And I think this will be a very fun match. I'm looking forward to it a lot. I'm a big Pac fan. I've always been a big Pac fan. I'm also a big Claudio guy. And yeah, I think together these two could have a banger. And yeah, these are actually the two guys, right? Claudio and Pac, who in 2016, you asked me perhaps, the two, 2015, 2016, you asked me the two most underrated guys in WWE's mid-card. I would have said that these two. And now 5 years, just over 5 years later, they're main eventing a Ring of Honor pay-per-view. So that's certainly cool to see, and I'm looking forward to it. But Clark, I'll head to you first. Who do you think the fans will root for? And who do you think will win the match?
Well, it's interesting because I don't know if you saw yesterday's show, but me and Shad really expressed our love of Pac. Like he's awesome. I think he's one of the best performers in the world. I called him a top 5 wrestler in the world yesterday. So who am I rooting for? I'm rooting for Pac. Who are the fans going to root for? I think Claudio, right? 2 different answers there. I don't think Pac will win the match. I do believe my prediction is that Claudio will retain, but I hope this gets as much time as possible because this is one of those opportunities for a show stealer beyond show stealer where we watch it and go, oh no, that's the best match I've actually seen in weeks. That's a 5-star out of the gates. And that's what I'm rooting for more than anything. I don't know if it almost matters because I think they could make it change throughout the match. I think there will be times where the crowd cheers Pac. There will be times where the crowd cheers Claudio. And if this is done right, by the end of the match, we'll know which one the fans are on the side of and which one they aren't.
Yeah.
But they'll paint that picture for us.
Let's hope so.
That's what I'm hoping for. And I think that's best case scenario too. But of all 2 talents in the world to deliver that, you've got a couple great picks there with Pac and Claudio.
No, you absolutely do. And like you said, I'm going to be honest, I don't think it's going to get to the 5-star caliber purely because, I think the lack of story and the fact that it's not really, had a long feud. But I do think it's going to be a very enjoyable match. I agree with you that I really hope they get time because it could be a banger. But Coby, what about you? What do you think heading into this match? And who do you see walking out as the Ring of Honor World Champion?
I mean, just to kind of back up on what Clark said, I mean, I 100% agree. I think every wrestling fan that is going to tune into this show is going to want this match to deliver, want this match to be the reason they enjoyed the show, the reason they're glad they bought it, because it is an expensive bill if you're in the States. At the end of the day, it's hard to be one of the matches of the last few weeks due to FTR and Bullet Club Gold. Obviously, those are classics. I think to build off of what you've been talking about with the crowd, what I don't want Ring of Honor to be doing is to just be forcing their own narrative. Not Ring of Honor, just in general. If they're forcing Pac to be the heel in the match and Pac is over, they should be going in the other direction. But my main question is how much of an involvement does the BCC have? Because that's the thing. Pac turned his back on the Blackpool Combat Club. Should we be seeing run-ins or should this match be overbooked? I think so. I think we should, even if it's just a Wheeler Yuta appearance, I think we should be seeing at least something that continues that. Okay, well, the BCC are truly mad that they turned on Pac, or that Pac turned on them. Blah blah blah. Does Pac win a title in Ring of Honor for the first time? I don't think he does. I do think Claudio wins, and that's simply because before this. And yes, he was able to do the G1 climax. Before this, they were definitely going in the direction of Eddie Kingston was going to be the feud again for Claudio, and they were probably going to do another rematch. I think that's more than likely going to happen in the future, and they're going to continue that to some degree so they can properly have a blow-off feud for those 2 men. So I do think Claudio gets the victory here.
Yeah, no, I do. I agree with your prediction there, Coby and Clark's as well, that Claudio will get the victory. The one thing I will disagree with you on is the run-in. If it was in any other promotion, if it was in AEW itself, I would say 100% I agree. Only reason I disagree is because it's Ring of Honor and it's a main event in Ring of Honor and it goes against everything Ring of Honor is about. They have done run-ins in the past, right, in matches, but it's, as far as I can remember, it's not really happened in a main event. I think something happened with Matt Taven a few years back, and there was a lot of controversy about that when there was
It's
running.
happened. It's happened.
Yeah, I think with Matt Taven it happened, but for most Ring of Honor's history, especially when you go back to the early days of Ring of Honor, it never happened, and that is what TK's trying. He says he's trying to replicate now. But what about you, Shad? Who do you think is walking out as the Ring of Honor World Champion?
Just because this match has been built so short of a time frame with all that is occurring with it, I think that Claudio is going to retain, but I would not be upset or surprised if Pac comes with the upset and gets the title off of him. I say that because, like Clark was saying earlier, me and him, we really broke down that main event of Blood and Guts, and I said the P and MVP is for Pac, man. Like he put in a lot of crazy work in that match, but I think he created the most interesting dynamic to the match with him, breaking out of the cage and just being done with it because he was upset with the Blackpool Combat Club, especially with Claudio. I thought it was a really well way to get a feud between both of them booked, but the only caveat is that is being booked for something tonight, which has literally been 2 days, so you can't let it marinate. It's more so just a quick way to get it booked. I don't know if it was just a hot shot idea or whatnot, but for him and Claudio to kind of set this main event, I think the match is going to be spectacular. Both of these guys are, phenomenal in-ring competitors, and I think it'll be a clean fight. I don't think that we'll get, any run-ins or anything, because I kind of feel like BCC. The thing is this, and also to add to it, I think BCC is starting to kind of lean a little out of heelish ways after the match at Blood and Guts, just because they had a lot of, they kind of got like done dirty by two people, but I don't really think it matters upon who you view as a heel or not. Like that's one thing about pro wrestling I've always had a little bit of an issue with, is just like a fan is going to root for who they like as a character wise. And I mean, Pac has heel tendencies, he's got that I don't care attitude, but you just absolutely as a fan want to root for him because he's so incredible at what he does. And the same goes for Claudio. So I think it will probably be a split crowd, but I think people in attendance, as us as fans watching on our laptops, TVs, Fire Sticks, whatever it may be, are going to just enjoy the match between both of them. I got Claudio retaining because I do agree with Kobe's point. I think the next champ has got to be Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston hasn't touched gold yet. Him and Claudio got that feud. That's like the right moment for him to get that title, and I think he's the right person to get that title off. Adding to that, it's just been a short feud. So I got Claudio for the win, but I'm rooting for Pac.
Yeah, nice. And I agree with you on that one too. I'd love for Pac to win, but I think you're right that he won't. But we got a couple of comments here from Matt Williams. Firstly, he's talking about Master Wato, who is on the card, and I'll read out the full card in just a second. And he is also asking what is the origin of the name Pac. And I'm going to be honest, I actually didn't know this, but I just did a quick Google search. And according to Reddit, right, so take this with a huge pinch of salt. It's because at a young age, right, he had, when he was growing up as a teenager, he was working out a lot when he was training to be a wrestler. And obviously, he had great abs. So that's where the name, it came from his dad. His dad used to call him Pac because of his abs, the six-pack.
Six-pack.
And that's apparently where it came from. Who knows if that's true? But that's what people are saying online. But yeah, I actually never even thought about that.
Isn't that a little controversial or contradictory though with his nickname, the Bastard? If his dad gave him the nickname,
that was in AW when he first started.
No, I know. I'm just saying, like in generally speaking, those go against each other.
They do. They very much do.
I'm not trying to be that guy, but I'm just saying it's kind of hard to miss if you think about it.
That's also very true. I mean, there's also two different meanings for the word here in England, and that's usually the other, which is why.
I know.
I guess that's what you mean, but I do also
technically
that's quite funny.
That one is a little bit contradictory.
True. But now I'll quickly run through the entire card. Firstly, on the the buy-in, or 0 hour, as Ring of Honor call it. We've got Action Andrade and Darius Martin versus the Workhorsemen, who are Anthony Henry and JD Drake. Then we've also got Layla Hirsch and Trish Adora. We've got AR Fox versus Shane Taylor, and Josh Woods versus Tracy Williams. And boy, oh boy, is that a stacked 0 hour. That is great. Then on the main card, we have Commander versus Gravity, the Mogul Embassy versus Master Wato Taguchi and Leon Ruffin. And then we got the Lucha Brothers defending the ROH World Tag Team Championships against the Kingdom, Best Friends, and Aussie Open. So that's another match which just could steal the show. We've got Athena versus Willow, as we talked about. Shibata versus Garcia, as we talked about. Joe versus Dalton Castle, as we talked about. And then, of course, Claudio Castagnoli defending against Pac in the main event, as we talked about. So it really is an absolutely stacked card from top to bottom. I'm going to be honest, especially considering the backlash AEW have received this week for, the amount of spotlight they're giving to their women's division. The fact that there's only 2 matches, which are women's matches out of 12 on here, again, perhaps something to, note down and, mention. But anyway, let's now move on and let's talk about SmackDown. And there's only 2 segments announced for SmackDown tonight, but they are both, quite interesting ones. And the first one is Rey Mysterio versus Sheamus versus Cameron Grimes and LA Knight. Yeah. Oh, great time in there. Bit late, Clark. But yes, in a fatal 4-way match. And this is, of course, the second of the number 1 contenders matches for the United States champion, with the winner of tonight going on to face Santos Escobar next week on SmackDown. And then the winner will take on Austin Theory for the United States championship, I'd presume at SummerSlam. Maybe it's the night before on SmackDown. We'll have to wait and see. But this is an absolutely stacked fatal 4-way, right? Mysterio, Sheamus, Grimes, and LA Knight. I would not mind any of these 4 men winning. I'm personally just going to throw it out there straight away. I doubt Rey Mysterio is winning because, of course, Santos Escobar has already, won. I doubt we're going to have 2 LWO members face each other there. Then the next one is Sheamus. Sheamus has had quite a few chances lately, but there's a story to be told there. He's been screwed every single time, so who knows? Perhaps he'll get another opportunity. Cameron Grimes, of course, he's barely been seen on WWE television since his call-up to the main roster. And him winning and then going on to beat Santos Escobar next week and earn a championship opportunity against Austin Theory would do wonders for his career. Do I think it'll happen? No, I don't. And then finally, everybody's favorite, LA Knight. Clark, go ahead and say it.
Yeah.
And yes, I think it'll be LA Knight. It's who the fans want to win, and I think this entire tournament's just been a way to kind of get LA Knight to win it, and then go on to face Austin Theory, and I think beat him, or at least I hope. But Clark, what about you? Who do you think will win this fatal 4-way on SmackDown?
Yeah, I think it's a really good field of competitors. And yeah, I think LA Knight. Yeah, dummy. Come on. It's no doubt it's LA Knight, or as Bray Wyatt called him, Los Angeles Knight. I hope that is the origin story of that name. Speaking of name origin stories, but LA Knight wins this in a no-brainer, probably pins Rey Mysterio himself to set up a reason that he and Santos shouldn't like each other so much. And that's nothing short of delightful. This will be a fatal 4-way that we'll enjoy thoroughly if they do the right thing and put over, LA Knight. It's no doubt in my mind. There's only one route you can go.
Yeah. That wasn't even deliberate the first time when I said after you finished that. But I mean, me and Chaos were leaving Money in the Bank, right? Of course, we went. Now you can watch both our vlogs on the Wrestling Republic YouTube channel. And literally, as everyone was leaving Money in the Bank, all the way to the tube station, everyone was going, LA Knight, and it was just, to be honest, it actually got a little bit annoying. But I remember we walked into the tube station, and there was a lot of people around. It was absolutely packed. So
Yeah.
everybody, you know, was shoulder to shoulder. And there was a few people, and I really feel bad for these people who hadn't gone to the wrestling show, who
Yeah.
just obviously gone to the tube station at the exact wrong time, and it was completely packed. And they were like, "Why is everyone just going, Clark?"
Yeah.
It was absolute madness. But it was a lot of fun. He's so over right now, and it would be a mistake not to capitalize on it. I've spoken about age concerns with him before, but for a United States title run, I don't think there's an issue. I really don't, and he's so over. I said that before he got this over. Now he's this over. It's too late. You might as well make money off of him. But let's now move on. Yeah, to the main event.
Sorry,
we're so childish, Clark. We really are.
bad.
But anyway, let's move on. Hey, Coby's throwing one in as well. Shad, do you want to throw one in?
Yeah.
Yeah. All four of us. Yeah. But let's now move on to what I'm presuming will be. Well, I say I'm presuming. I presumed a couple of weeks ago, and then it opened the show and went 40 minutes. But what I'm presuming will be the main event segment tonight, and that is Roman Reigns' Rules of Engagement segment with Jey Uso. And truthfully, I have no idea particularly what this means, but, well, I am all for it because let's be real here. Everything the Bloodline touches is gold. What they're saying about it, on WWE.com is, the most dominant champion of the modern era, the undisputed WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns returns to set the Rules of Engagement for SummerSlam with his unhinged cousin, Jey Uso. Main event Jey Uso, main event of SummerSlam. Jey Uso to be exact. But what I presume this means, I hope it's not going to be a bunch of little stupid stipulations. What I hope this means is they've got like a proper match type between them both. And I really don't actually know what you could do for it because, we've seen the Hell in a Cell and that was awesome between the two. So it's like, well, what do you do this time, What could you possibly do? There's a lot they could do, but what should they do? I was thinking about this earlier on, and something which I just wouldn't mind is, I don't know, a new type of steel cage match, right? Just like the tribal cage match or something, right? Perhaps you use part of the Punjabi prison, you take that apart and just have this really badass looking steel cage and just basically have a steel cage match. That's brutal at SummerSlam. I'd love to see that. I doubt that's the direction they're going, but I would love just something unique, a new match type. That would be interesting. But Shad, I'll go to you first. What do you think is going to happen in the Rules of Engagement segment tonight on SmackDown?
Yeah, I think it's just going to I think this is to set the tone and set the initial, what I would presume to be the main event at the upcoming SummerSlam for Jey Uso and Roman Reigns. I think we're going to get a lot of back and forth communication between them, a lot of, Roman continuing his mind games and basically guilt tripping Jey, calling him a traitor to the family. He's the reason his brother is hurt. He's the reason why Solo surpassing him. Solo fell back and fall the line with him. How come you haven't? All of that. And you'll probably see Jey kind of, get back in his bag and try to respond back. But I think we'll set the tone for some sort of match for that. And if it comes to a situation, I would love for it to be some type of specialty match at the pay-per-view. If they can create some new one, like you said, like a King of the Island, like something like Island theme.
Oh, that's a good name. That's a good name.
Yeah, like where you have the winner is the true, head of the table of the island of Samoa type of thing, where it can, probably would virtually basically be like a last man standing match. But you can do something like that. But I feel it's going to definitely be a progression to this storyline and what we're going to see at the main event. I'm hoping that it gets enough time and a good amount of time, but I'm hoping it's not several segments like a few weeks ago. As great as it was, I hope they do let other people cook tonight. I think there's a lot of other great storylines that need to be put in position. Obviously, y'all talked about the Fatal 4-Way. hopefully we talked about AEW's women division. I would like to see some progression with the Bailey and Shotzi Blackheart feud as well. They got some feuds brewing in the Asuka, Charlotte, Bianca. There's a lot of stuff going in, but that's my choice for the match tonight. I think we're gonna lead to a main event, and I think it's gonna be something. And I'm liking the idea of the last man on the island kind of match. Give it a Survivor theme.
Yeah, no, that would be fantastic. And every time I'm saying yeah now, which I realize I say a lot, I'm just being reminded of LA Knight. Clark, you ruined it for me. You ruined it. But Coby, what about you? Right, when it comes to this segment tonight, what do you think it'll be, and how long do you think it will go? Do you think that the segment a couple of weeks ago went too long?
I mean, Rules of Engagement is a sitcom with David Spade and David Putty. At the end of the, I see Clark popping for
the same thing.
At the end of the day, I think this is where, if they really wanted to do it, they could swerve us and they could have Jey Uso fall back in line. And this where Jimmy shows up and is the one that says, "Hey, I know I'm not cleared, but I can get myself ready for SummerSlam." Is Jimmy Uso the feud for SummerSlam? I don't know. I don't think so. Would I prefer Jey Uso at versus Roman Reigns at Payback, when the original Roman Reigns Universal Championship reign began at the time? I think I would. But is that direction? I don't think so. Was Tribal Court too long? Yeah, it went a little too long. At the end of the day, I did like the idea that they did it throughout the show, but the fact that it was 40 minutes and then still more, it was odd. I like the fact that they kept the Tribal Court kicking it off like they did with Zayn on that Raw in January. Other than that, I mean, I don't know what to expect, and that's the biggest thing. Obviously, Roman is here. We can celebrate because something big should be happening. They got to do a lot of stuff because it is on FS1, and we talk about viewership dips and all that. They got to hope they get a viewership because it's Roman Reigns on FS1.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm 100% excited for this segment because it's gonna it is gonna shape what we're gonna get within the next few weeks for SummerSlam and potentially after. I think Jimmy Uso doing that is likely? No, I don't. Would that be the way I would go? Maybe. But other than that, it's a segment that we all are going to enjoy.
Fair
as
enough.
wrestling fans.
Yeah, I do agree with you there. I'm looking forward to it. I certainly am. There's a lot of good wrestling, on tonight. You got this segment, you got the Fatal 4-Way, then you got Ring of Honor. There's a lot to look forward to tonight. And it feels a bit like last Saturday where there's so much, and you got to choose which one you want to watch, and then watch the other one afterwards. But yes, it will certainly be a lot of fun. I also find your theory about potentially Jimmy Uso coming back and actually being the challenge as Jey Uso falls back in line. I think that could be interesting. I personally wouldn't do that purely because I think if that was the route that they went, they should have done that a couple of weeks ago, or they do it at SummerSlam. After SummerSlam, Jey falls back in line and Jimmy doesn't. Perhaps that would be the way to go. I wouldn't do it right now because otherwise it'd be a bit difficult. Mind you, there's another 2 SmackDowns left before SummerSlam. I keep thinking it's a week earlier than it is. But what about you, Clark? What do you think is going to happen in this segment? And what stipulation would you like the match to have, if any?
Well, while Rules of Engagement was a sitcom with David Spade, as Coby earlier mentioned, there was also a movie in 2000 with both Samuel L. Jackson and Tommy Lee Jones called Rules of Engagement. That was a war movie. I actually think there's no parallels whatsoever here. I don't know what they're going to do as far as Rules of Engagement is concerned. If they go by the movie, then this would be another trial, but last time it was a trial. Not totally sure stipulation-wise. I really love what Shad presented about some sort of king of the, not mountain, we've seen that one before, unfortunately, but a tribal chief type match with a stipulation of sorts, whether it be, maybe something as simple as a Falls Count Anywhere match
Oh.
because we just don't see them that often. And I think Jay and Roman could do a lot throughout the arena. The stipulation being the end of it being oh my goodness. No, but being thanks a lot, Coby. Nice timing. But the stipulation being that the winner is the new tribal chief, right? And that's what it's more about. You can call it something other than Falls Count Anywhere, right? Whatever, the anywhere in the arena match, whatever, like anywhere on the island or the island of relevancy match, maybe, I don't know, in some way. But I really do like the idea of it be that is, it's not just all of the titles on the line.
Yeah.
It's the family title that's on the line as well. And I think that's kind of the key.
I mean, even then, like maybe you could do like a unique ladder match. I don't even know. There's so many match types that they could like they could combine and change. And yes, I mean, there's kind of a stigma around that because, well, certain companies have tried before and failed to combine match types, and it can be messy. But I mean, there was a comment here which threw me off during all of that, Clark, and I think it threw you off as well. And that's from Matt Williams saying, "I love weddings and wrestling. Maybe they'll just get married."
I could not. That literally stopped me in my tracks. As soon as I saw it, I was like, I was at Kane. I was at the Kane Lita wedding as a kid, and that was like where my brain went. It completely got me. And Matt, monster shout out, man. That is too dang funny. Like, I don't care who you are. That's funny.
Matt, I feel like you get us to pop like every day on the show in one of these comments.
That's good old fashioned fun.
Oh gosh, that was hilarious. My favorite part about that was Clark. You blamed Coby for it, but
I did. It was his fault.
Yeah. We'll blame Coby for everything. But yeah, I mean, honestly, but quickly before we end, I'm gonna go around each of you guys.
Painting me as the devil again.
Oh yeah, I did that on the thumbnail before, but
long running gimmick.
But just before we end the show, I'm gonna quickly go around, right? Quick answer of each of you. Which show are you going to be watching first tonight? You can be watching Ring of Honor first or SmackDown first. I'm going to start with you, Shad.
I think I'm going to watch the Ring of Honor pay-per-view tonight. Just looking at the entire match in its totality, it has my interest because, I mean, first and foremost, you named the 0 hour card. Maybe it might be a case where I might just watch the 0 hour and kind of go spotty within it. But, I mean, big ups to DC native Trisha Dora versus legit Layla Hirsch. I think that's going to be an awesome match. And then, I mean, like y'all talked about it earlier, I'm really hyped for that Shibata and Daniel Garcia match, as well as the main event. I mean, they got a lot more as a whole matches, and it's also a pay-per-view. I feel like it holds a little bit more weight. SmackDown to SmackDown. I can always catch it tomorrow. I can put it on DVR and catch it tomorrow morning.
That's true, yeah.
But I'm definitely excited for the ROH pay-per-view. Even though it hasn't been a crazy build, still going to tune in.
Fair enough. I mean, it is a stacked card. Coby, very quickly, which one are you going to watch, SmackDown or Ring of Honor?
I mean, I'm reviewing Ring of Honor, so I guess that kind of gives you the realistic answer. I gotta watch Ring of Honor. SmackDown's easily not skippable, but you can fast forward through a lot of it. Not a lot of it, but watching it without commercials definitely does help at the end. But it should be a great night of wrestling. I'm not going 9 hours straight like Saturday night.
Yeah, that was ridiculous last Saturday. Clark, what about you? Ring of Honor or SmackDown?
I mean, I'm watching Ring of Honor with Coby, and then I'm on the West Coast, so SmackDown doesn't start till after Ring of Honor for me anyway because of the time zone thing. So I'm probably going to watch both tonight. But either way, that's geography.
Yeah, well, that's sorted then. Clark's the lucky one out of all of us. But I do agree with what you said, Coby. No commercials if you watch SmackDown, the next day or after it. So I will probably watch Ring of Honor live as well. But thank you guys. Now, this is the end of the show. If you're over on YouTube, please give us a cheeky thumbs up and a comment. If you're on Spotify, a 5-star it'd be delightful. It would make my day. But thank you guys so much for watching. And thank you to Clark, Coby, and Shad for joining as well. It's been a banger of an episode. We'll see you guys the same time tomorrow to review Ring of Honor and SmackDown. See you then.